Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Valorant News, and so much happening in the last 24 hours in the Valorant world. Rostermania is in full effect all across the regions. We've got Asia, EMEA, North America, it's all going on. Lots to talk about the potential TSM and FaZe rosters as well, going into the next stage of challenges. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you also for 13,000 subscribers. Feels like yesterday we hit 10k, so just great growth the last few weeks. Really appreciate it. Shout out to all those of you who are very new to the channel and are just tuning into things. This also from VCT yesterday, right, come out with a beautiful cinematic trailer, right, for Masters. Really, honestly, like, absolutely phenomenal stuff. Those are the 12 teams on the right-hand side that are going to be in attendance. This, though, just to mention real quick, because Crazy Raccoon, Munchkin, of course, their IGL, he's actually been withdrawn. Well, they say, obviously, the Google translation isn't going to be perfect right here. I'm sure it sounded better in the original Japanese, but effectively, like, Munchkin's moving on from the team. They've removed him from the roster. He believes that he can make more impact elsewhere. But if he goes on to say in this tweet that effectively he feels like his kind of IGLing on this squad was being limited, he feels like he has more potential on another team. So he says that, you know, thanks to all the Crazy Raccoon coaches, directors, owners, he'll be supporting them elsewhere, but he believes he can have more impact on another team. So really interesting stuff. Not sure what Crazy Raccoon will decide to do from here. There was some talk about ShahZaM, right, and he kind of went to Apex Legends, wasn't too happy with how things are going there, so maybe he makes a return. I don't know what they're going to do in these regions, right, but interesting to see because Munchkin, one of the best players in that region, no doubt, especially in that kind of IGL role. He's looking for a new and better opportunity elsewhere. Let's talk about EMEA then, because as Coco points out, there's well, certainly a lot going on with team vitality right now. Seems like PM and Zayich are gone. Tanish and Bone Cold, first choices to potentially come through. So Bone Cold, very interesting prospect, right, formerly of the Acend squad. They're making plenty of changes right now. Bone Cold is gone. Kiles is gone as well. We'll talk about here in a second. That was rumored a few days ago. Now it's officially being confirmed. Bone Cold, of course, there's been some questions. Is he going to be subbing in for the Fnatic team at Masters? Because they might need more than one substitute. We'll talk about an update on the Turko situation here in just a couple of seconds. But yeah, Bone Cold potentially first choices for that team vitality roster. Pretty much all teams looking to make some upgrades right now going into their, well, the second stage of challenges they're going to need to qualify for. And Acend also in a very similar boat after winning the World Championship not many months ago, back in December now, like only, what, 4 months or so ago. Remarkable how things have gone downhill for them. They have an awful stage 1 of challenges. I believe they came 4th or 5th in Group B, which meant that they didn't even qualify for the playoffs. Therefore, they made some moves. Bone Cold is gone. Kiles is gone as well. They've moved him officially to the bench. They're looking for some replacement options. And yeah, really tough start to the year for them. Kiles goes on to say he's been benched. I'm free to explore other options. Extremely hungry to win. Become the best once again. Totally ready to prove myself to the world. So usually a World Championship player shouldn't have too many issues getting onto another roster. But it is quite remarkable how things have gone so downhill for this team. Only weeks and months, to be honest, after they were on top of the world, no doubt about it. Now, Lembo also points out the Giants player Monster has been trying out in, well, with Acend in the Sentinels position. So maybe that's what's going on. Like, the European club is looking for spare parts for Bone Cold and Kiles, which seems to be what's going on right now. So really interesting stuff. Don't know too much about this player, right? But of course, Giants, they had a few players, I believe, poached by G2 when they kind of made their rebuild. So seemingly pretty good at finding some talent. Maybe that's the direction that Acend are going to go. Who knows? They're going to try and get back on top, but they're going to have a difficult time even getting back into challenges for stage 2 because, you know, these online qualifiers are so challenging for even the best of the best. So Kiles and Bone Cold, wishing them the best. Speaking just of the EMEA region again before we go on to North America, some pretty ridiculous shots here from Turko, but of course whether he will actually be attending Masters, that is a massive question mark right now. Seems like it's less and less likely by the day. Not sure when is the last time he can potentially fly out there, but of course, well, as he points out, well, to Sapphire here in the replies that she tested positive, she's now tested negative and she can go. Of course, one of the observers for the Valorant side. Turko says, I hope you'll be able to go in the replies, and then follows up with this one. He says he's still positive, at least as of yesterday. So hopefully he tests negative very soon. I think he needs to test negative and then he can fly out there. Of course, it starts on the 10th, so there's still some chance he will be able to attend, at least as the event progresses. But, you know, I believe they do have a substitute ready on hands if he's not able to attend. But surely if Fnatic wants any chance to do anything at this event, they need their best player at the venue. So that's certainly, well, a big port of call for them. Let's talk about the North American side then. So Ghost Gaming, they're making some changes. Ryan, of course, they're kind of IGL. They part ways with him. He's out of there. He's looking for a new opportunity. Speaking of Ghost as well, a Proto, he played with him quite recently to some pretty great success. He may well be joining the roster on a full-term basis. I believe he was on LG before and a couple of other teams. But yeah, Ghost Gaming, they have a lot of young talent. Seems like a Proto might be the one to be coming in. Purist reckons they are set to sign him to round out the rest of their roster. So pretty cool stuff. But there's so much going on the North American side, we have to move on. Firstly, there's some NYXL, formerly known as Andbox. They're completely rebuilding their roster. So Andbox as an organization is now completely rebranded to NYXL. If you guys missed that one from a week or so ago. Yona 6, Lear, Gon, Vice and Mame also going to the the inactive roster. So Mame was on Envy for a time, then he of course went to Anbox, and well, honestly, the team didn't really have the greatest of successes. Pretty solid squad in the early days. As of late, they've been falling off a little bit. So basically, they're completely rebuilding their roster. Yona, Six, and Lear are completely gone. Vice and Mame are on the inactive bench, so they're looking to make some complete rebuild and some complete changes. As Yona 6 points out, unrestricted free agents. So, some of them are still restricted based on the buyouts. That is, of course, something of a concern here we'll talk about in a second, especially in the North American side, that some of these teams hold these players to very significant buyouts, even though they might not be necessarily worth that much money. Depending on the contracts and the way things work, some players are unrestricted, which is a massive right to players. Well, teams can just pick them up for free. A restricted free agent means you've got to pay a buyout or come to some sort of arrangement, which makes them a much harder prospect to buy. Mame then, I believe, still a restricted free agent. Good luck to these guys looking to play Smokesword Chamber, join a team for the upcoming VCT. It's always difficult for these guys to make something happen, though, due to that situation. Let's talk about this then. T17, still, I guess he's got T1 in his name, even though not part of the T1 organization anymore. Maybe he's on the bench, but I'm pretty sure they removed him from the starting roster. He points out, Texas, I am inside you. You guys may well remember a couple of months ago now, when TSM failed to qualify for the regular stage of challenges, they said, okay, look, we're going to move our entire roster to Texas. We're going to take our culture practice way more seriously. Of course, Wardell didn't want to go. He wanted to stay where he is. Therefore, they parted ways mutually. And well, 7, interestingly enough, is moving out there to Texas. What could this possibly mean? Is it possible the 7 is going to join T1 on a permanent basis? He subbed in for them for Wardell when that whole rumor mill was going around. And well, as George Geddes points out, TSM is set to sign both 7 and GMD, as we rumored, I think, a couple of days ago, to the VALORANT roster. Deals are almost complete. Both players will likely compete with the rest of the team in Austin, Texas. As surprise, surprise, we just saw, well, 7 talk about flying out to, so as it is described right here. So yeah, former Gen.G player GMD, and also 7 from T1. Really interesting about what happened to 7 on T1, because there was so much promise around 7 when he was on the bench of 100 Thieves. Then they decided he wasn't really part of their future plans. They send him to T1, doesn't really have great success over there under Steele's in-game leadership, and now he, well, subs in briefly for TSM, impresses them an awful lot, to the point where they want to bring him on as a permanent basis. So really cool stuff. GMD from Gen.G, don't know all that much about this player, but it seems like that's the route they want to go down. Is this going to be good enough? They've trialed out some other players over the last couple of weeks, Campeki, Neon, for example, but yeah, that's not the route they want to go down. New roster for TSM, is that going to be what it takes for them to qualify for stage 2 of challenges? It's going to be far from easy. As I say, those brackets are going to be absurd, especially because you're going to have teams like Sentinels, 100 Thieves, like NRG, all these other squads that are very good and didn't qualify for the playoffs in North America. They're going to be down there as well in those brackets that TSM are going to have to compete with. Another team on this similar situation is going to be FaZe. This was noticed yesterday that the changes we theorized might be happening with FaZe may indeed well be coming to fruition, because as you can see right here, we've got babybay, we've got Dicey of the FaZe team playing with Supamen and Poised of Rise. So, well, seems rather likely to me that Poised and Supamen, as has been theorized from the Rise team, with Derek potentially going to 100 Thieves, as we looked at yesterday, they may well be going to FaZe. That could be the roster. Asuna and Bang also seen playing together in this screenshot as well, so kind of implying potentially that Bang is still going to be staying on that squad in that core, as we theorize might be possible. So yeah, seems like FaZe coming together, TSM coming together, 100 Thieves coming together. Whether it'll be good enough for any of these teams to make it through, that is another question mark. But this also another question mark from George Geddes, that well, as it is right now, a lot of these buyouts are way too high for what they should be, which means that some of these moves actually aren't going through and aren't happening just because the buyouts are way too insane for some of these teams to play. There's probably moves that are going to happen, moves that they want to happen, but just can't happen because the buyouts are just saying, the organizations are saying, well, that's too much money, we're not paying that, lads, like, come on, get real effectively. And there was this tweet that we looked at actually back in December where dapr pointed out people see the biggest brand player, practically the face of the game, that being TenZ, of course, got sold for 1 million. I think their 3k follower Andy is worth even a quarter of that. That's the thing. Some of these guys are getting signed. I wonder exactly what went on, to be honest, with Wardell on the 100 Thieves front, because I believe that was actually mentioned real quick at the bottom of this article that George Geddes points out that, of course, Wardell was of TSM. Rumor had it he was going to go to 100 Thieves. Made perfect sense in terms of roles, personality, this type of stuff. Didn't happen. Is that due to a buyout? Who knows? As we bring the video to the end, then we've got to talk about the Masters Reykjavik schedule. This was announced already. Interesting, to be honest, as Purist pointed out right here. The schedule has been confirmed, the format has been announced, but the talent hasn't even been announced. Maybe by the time this video goes live, it will have been, but still kind of strange, right? We don't know what the talent is going to be, even though we've kind of heard rumors who's going to be there and this type of stuff, but still, they haven't confirmed the talent yet, but we know all the format, we know all the teams, we know how it's going to work, and we also know the schedule. We still don't know the talent, but still, I guess watch parties will be the port of call for a lot of people this weekend, especially with DDK and Sean Gares not casting it, of course. This then is the schedule, so you can see day 1 Sunday, that's the 10th of April, group match A1, group match A2, group match B1. So on a few days, day 1 and day 3, there's 3 group matches. matches. The other days, there's just 2 group matches. So the groups run from Sunday the 10th all the way through to Wednesday the 13th. By this point, I guess, 4 teams will have been eliminated, 8 teams will remain. Then they go on to the main bracket, do that for a few days up until the 18th. Then they have a couple of days off into the upper semi-final, lower semi-final on on the Saturday the 22nd, then the lower final on the 23rd. So I guess at this point, there's like 4 teams remaining into the 22nd. And at this point, they do upper finals to determine the first grand finalist, lower semi-finals to determine who gets top 4, then lower finals to determine who gets top 3 and who makes the grand final, and then the grand final on Sunday the 24th. Exciting stuff. Who's going to win it? That, of course, is for you guys to guess in the comment section below. And who even has the strongest region heading into Masters? I get that as a big question mark, especially with the way EMEA have been struggling over these last several weeks. But very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tell us your YouTube gods, it's a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And hope grow the competitive Valorant community. Thank you much as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.
One short with up.
Only one.
One is here, man, now.
Short with up.